Welcome back to SK Hobbies AZ. I am Stitch, and this is part 3 of the SCX24 course build. This is the final one before we do our first run video. So check it out. All right, so we did pick up another crawler for our course, so we got 5 now. My son Harlan decided he wanted to pick up a deadbolt for himself, so he did get the red one, and this one here, he didn't want to get it confused with my youngest son's red one, so he pulled it all apart, and he got like this blue-green flat color and painted it all that way, and then put it back together, including the little helmet on the head. He did it to match the body, and then used a little bit of orange acrylic and brushed it on the sides and a little bit on the top up here to kind of give it that rusted look all around. So these 3 right here are primarily stock, and these 2 right here have the brass wheel weights in the front tires. So these 2 definitely perform better on our course, and we did a couple of changes in here, and you're going to see it. Some of the pictures that I took while we were painting it, this edition wasn't done, but we're calling the tower, and that's the big rock climb wall that we created, and the Lincoln Log Bridge comes across to it. It's very narrow up there, so it's kind of hard to turn. And with that being said, we did a little bit of an addition onto the side to kind of give it a little bit more maneuverability up there. So we did kind of after we painted it, we decorated it, and then we were doing some test runs on it and realized that it's a little bit narrow up there. We didn't really plan for it that way, but you know, I'm staring at it right now. It's sitting on the other side of this camera, and it's amazing. I can't wait for you guys to see it, but let's go ahead and start looking at some of the pictures. Now, there isn't a lot of footage here. A lot of it is going to be pictures, and I'm going to kind of talk through it, and then I got a little bit of a video run that I just did after the edition, so we'll show you that too, and then I'll bring you guys back. All right, so before we started painting, we built this Lincoln Log Bridge. So we did this out of, basically it's like an orange 550 cord, and Lincoln Logs. And so we ended up using about, I want to say it was about 30 of the large Lincoln Logs to create that droop and that bridge. And this picture right here is where we were kind of just placing it on there to see how we wanted it, and then we installed it after we painted. So, but it's pretty good. It is very shaky, and going across it, so it is kind of challenging. There's about, I want to say, a little less than a half an inch of clearance on each side when you're driving across it, but it's awesome. I think it's a great feature for the bridge. So I recommend anybody putting a bridge inside of theirs like that. So moving on to the next picture. So we moved out in the outside and we started painting it. So what we decided to do is we wanted to kind of highlight it. I know a lot of people, when they do it, they basically put a whole primer coat down and give it a nice primer coat. Well, we were being conservative with the spray paint, so what we decided to do is we wanted to highlight certain areas with a dark gray. So we got and all of our paints that we got are all Rust-Oleum. We got an automotive primer. It's a primer gray, so that's what we used to put down on the majority of the areas you see covered right there in gray, which I'll put a picture of the can up on the screen right here. So we got that, and we put that down, let it set for about 5 minutes. It recommends 2 to 3 minutes drying between coats, and we wanted to kind of get it all knocked out in one big swoop. So that's what we did. We waited about 5 minutes in between coats, and we got that gray down. Now, moving on to the next picture. So this one right here, both me and my wife were painting at the same time, and I didn't actually take a snapshot picture of the brown we put down, but I'm going to put that can up here, and all it is just, it's a dark brown, it's a satin enamel, but we just kind of highlighted some other areas with that satin brown throughout it. And then what you see on top of that is Rust-Oleum makes a stone textured paint. And so I picked up 2 different types of this paint, and one is this dark, it's a dark brown, which I'll put a picture up of that on here too. And we kind of wanted to put some texture on the main driving areas. So if you look at the big rock structure going up onto that center platform, we wanted to put some texture on there. The ramps, all of the little cardboard perforated spots that we covered up in the trails, we put some texture on that too. So then we started working towards a lighter color, and so Rust-Oleum also makes a tan version of that stone. So we kind of lightly misted over the top of that to just give it that little sandy look, and that's why it lightens up a little bit. Moving along, you'll see here's a side view of it where we textured the area on that platform for the tunnel. We did a little bit of texturing around the mountain, and of course up on the top. Now after we did that, you can see here more on that texture. But after we did that we let it set 5 minutes in between each coat. And you can see that it's kind of lightened up a little bit around those rock structures that we created, and for the big tower that we were creating, which was a challenge. Building that tower, I did build it a little bit steep, and I did that on purpose because I wanted to make it a challenge, especially if we're gonna we don't want to get bored of the course, so we wanted to make some challenging spots in it. But we ended up with that texturing. And then here you're going to see this tower that I was talking about and how steep that is. Now, when I built it, I put this little wing out to the right-hand side here where you can see, just to give it a little bit more bulk up there. My kids are going to run on this course. Narrow would have been awesome for me and the wife. It would have been more challenging, but I wanted to make it a little bit wider up there, for the kids too. And when they're driving up there, the big hump at the top, like the deadbolts I said before, they don't have those wheel weights in the front. It gets really really vertical right coming up on that bump, and so they're gonna they'll fall down, and they did when we ran our first tests on it. So we did do a little bit of a different approach, which I'm going to show you. But then on the mountain, so if you see, we put this little fence thing along the side of the mountain. We wanted to simulate, like a fence being pushed down a little bit, and you could drive along the side of the mountain right there, and it created a little path, so you can actually go through the tunnel or you can go around it, and so you can go right up onto that foam that we put there and painted. You can drive right up there, drive along the side of the mountain, right out there on that fence, and to come around to the other side. So in the process of doing this is where and here's a picture of what we put on it. And we put that, we used some moss that we bought at Home Depot, actually. They sell some hobby grade and craft moss out on the patio that we got. So we got a package of those and started spreading that around. And we used rock, actually. In Arizona, we don't have very much grass. We have like rock yards. So we just grabbed some rocks out of our yard and threw in here. So we wanted to keep a lot of loose rock in here. It creates, a little bit of a landscape, and it's also creating a little bit of a, bumpiness for, the crawlers going across. And we can remove rock and add rock as we want. Now, if you see over here on the tower where the red deadbolt's at the top, we had to glue some rocks to that pathway up, that hill. And that was because even with the grip that we put down on it with that textured stone, the tires weren't really gripping very well going up there. So, and a lot of that is because of the incline to the angle. Now, the two C10 SCX24s with those wheel weights in the front, they were going to make it. But, the deadbolts, they're top heavy. They're more top heavy than those C10s. So you get it a little bit more at an angle. They tip over backwards and fall back down. So after putting some of that rock on there, it made it a little bit easier. It's still a little bit of a challenge for the deadbolts to get up there, but they can do it. And so used hot glue and hot glued those rocks going up that incline. And then here's another side shot of the tower. So if you look down below the tower, I put a little tunnel down there. So that tunnel is going to lead to another course that we're going to build. So that gave us an option to lead to another course. So that's where that aspect was. And now the other side of this bridge, that platform up there, we were thinking about having another course at a higher level coming off of that platform to the other side. So we got some options to expand. Like I said, we're going to do these modular so we can have multiple courses. We've got pretty much in our heads, we've got 2 additional courses already kind of planned out for what we want to do here, but who knows what we're going to end up with. I'll probably end up with these courses all over my house when I'm done because they're so fun to build. You can kind of see the SCX24 is kind of playing on the course right there. Now, this is that other platform I was telling you about, the other side of the bridge. So you can come out of that tunnel, or you can come around the mountain and go right across our Lincoln Log Bridge up to the top of the big hill or the tower, and then you can come down it. Or you can do it the other way. You can come up the big hill of the tower up to the top, turn down the Lincoln Log Bridge, cross to the platform and go into the tunnel, or you can go around the mountain if you want. Now, I don't really have any pictures of what's underneath, but this picture I really love. It's all 4 of them. Now at this time, my son didn't have his other deadbolt, so we only got the 4 in that picture, but it's just, we're rocking the American flag on top of the mountain. We've got our cones in the background. You can see the Lincoln Log Bridge my wife decorated it with the moss, and we strategically put some rocks all over it. So it turned out pretty good. And then underneath all of that, this is probably the best picture I was able to get, but you've got this little, the tunnel. And when I was doing the designs, if you guys remember, I said, you're going to have some little whoop-de-whoops. That's what those whoop-de-whoops are there to the right. Now to the left underneath here, I might put a little minor scene down here in the, driving by, but there's an entrance to an inside tunnel. Now, I don't have any LED lights in there yet. We're going to get some lighting put into this so we can see, but you're kind of driving blind through this tunnel. There's 3 different entryways. There's one that's underneath here. There's one that is out to the side, and then there's one that's out to the front. So here's the other side, another shot of the mountain where you can see the rock that we put down, the other ramp that comes up, the entrance to the tunnel, and you can kind of get a better idea of what it looks like going around the mountain right here. So, you come right around that mountain and get over to the other side if you want. Now here's where we did the new addition. So at the top of this mountain up here, we were having an issue turning our cars around and coming off onto the Lincoln Log Bridge. The Lincoln Log Bridge is actually removed here because this is actually just right after I finished painting it, so it's still drying. And we did the same stuff. We put some of that the primer gray on it. We tagged a couple of areas with that brown satin, and then covered it with the dark brown Rust-Oleum stone, and then textured it just a little bit on the top with that lighter tan color. So I also noticed once you paint it, it is a lot harder to get the plaster cloth to stick to the paint. So don't make the same mistake as me. Make sure that you get that plaster cloth and everything done before you paint it. So I didn't foresee it beforehand, and so that was my mistake. But I went back and remedied it. We added this on. It took a little bit more time to get the plaster cloth in place and to get it to dry, and then paint it up and put it on, and then we had to put some more rocks on it and get it done up. What you guys will see in the video, this I haven't added the rock back into it yet, but it will get into it. And here's kind of a side view of where you can see the addition that we did. It's a little bit lighter color of brown than everything else, but it just expanded it out. It made it a lot more maneuverable. But with that being said, I can go ahead and show you guys a little video on it. I'm not running any RCs, but they are all staged up on there. So let's go ahead and watch that now. Well, that concludes the build of our awesome SCX24 crawler course. As you can see, I got all 4 of the paints that we used on there here. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you guys got any questions or comments, drop down in the comments section and let me know what you think. If you guys, have any questions about, how we did a certain part of the build and didn't really see it too well in the speed vision, let me know in the comments. You can also find me on Facebook at Stitch at SK Hobbies. And my email address is also down in the bottom in the description. So if you guys got any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And I'm glad to help. It's awesome. I love this hobby. RCs are awesome. And now we've got our crawler collection and we can play indoors. And that's going to benefit us here in the summertime, because in Arizona, during the day, it is way too hot to get out there and do anything. I might even think the tires might melt on the ground. Just saying. Just kidding. But now we got something we can do. We can bring this into the house. We can play with our SCX24s and still get our RC fix. And then once the sun goes down, then we can think about going outside and doing something. But hey, don't forget to like, subscribe, bash that bell. I'm Stitch, SK Hobbies AZ, and I'm out.